we're gonna watch a video. There's a really good video going around right now on YouTube about the portal and problems with the portal. Llama worked on a really good video to reach out to Bungie and, try and get some things changed. So we are going to watch this, and I heard it's a banger.
The Portal is quite possibly the most divisive restructuring of Destiny 2 that has ever occurred in the entire history of the game. Never has there been a time where the game has been so dramatically shaken up, causing immense outcry of community feedback and, frankly, resentment to a newly added feature. And while yes, as of the writing of this script, the Portal has received its fair share of improvements, it still has a long way to go before its intended purpose is made manifest.
It's crazy that everything he just showed, like all those posts and charts and twids, they were all because of the portal. Like, that's just a little bit of how much the portal caused.
And spoiler alert, the portal isn't going anywhere. It's likely that it has been in development for years at the very least, because we first heard of it during this article from the 9th of September 2024. The portal will continue to be a part of the game whether you like it or not. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is doomed as a result. That said, the portal in its current iteration has, in all honesty, damaged the game, or at least a large portion of it. Despite this though, the portal itself isn't a bad idea. In fact, I think it's a great idea, if executed correctly, which is the key distinction to what we're dealing with currently. So today, my aim is to show you my proposed rework of how it can be best utilized to improve the game rather than hinder it, because I believe
pretty much he wants to do Bungie's job for them.
In today's video, not only am I going to explain my ideas, but also show them to you with the aid of several custom illustrations created by the wonderful Corp Projects, who is seriously talented. Together, we have gone all out and created a full restructuring of the entire portal experience, from the main menu, new categories and submenus, UI overhauls, and much more. What you're seeing is just a teaser of what's in store, so please make sure to show Court some love as well, as some of these pieces are truly impressive. Furthermore, big videos like these take quite a lot of time and effort to theorize, record, illustrate, edit, all the works.
This probably took over a week.
It's taken us around 2 weeks to put this all together. So if you end up strongly resonating with today's content and want to support the channel so we can continue to make more of these high production projects in the future, consider leaving a super thanks down in the comments below, as both myself and the team would seriously appreciate it. With that being said though, let's begin by discussing what the portal is currently and why it is bad. Right now, the portal is the main way to engage with the game. Any activity that's present within the portal can be played to earn gear and progress your character's level, including the new destination from the Edge of Fate, Kepler. Portal activities are also the only way to obtain weapons and armor that are part of the new tier.
Can we talk about how no one does activities on Kepler unless you're doing the loot cave? I mean, let's be honest. Maybe you do a sieve. I haven't done a sieve since like the first week of the game, but there's no reason you make a new destination or campaign, but you're not on Kepler. You're only in the loot cave. Some people don't even know what the loot cave is.
System. So basically, if you find an activity that isn't in the portal, such as nightmare hunts on the moon, playing this activity will not offer tiered rewards or allow said rewards to offer a power increase. Only activities that are exclusively in the portal fit this criteria. More generally, the portal is also a way for older seasonal content which was previously removed to rotate back into the game permanently. Examples include the Echoes Battlegrounds, Plunder Expeditions, and Savathun Spire, to name a few. Lastly, most of the portal activities feature the brand new activity customization and scoring feature that allow you to tweak with the difficulty of them by adding modifiers, positive or negative, and you're encouraged to play with this system to tailor your activities to your specific needs, with the modifiers you apply heavily influencing the quality of the loot you earn. And that's basically the portal. So why is this bad? For starters, so much of the rest of the game's content is not in the portal, including 9 raids and 10 dungeons, and no, the dungeon layers don't count. The majority of the available night.
Yeah, those don't count, by the way. Like the half dungeons that are in the Pinnacle Ops, those don't count.
Strikes, 21 missing to be exact, Gambit, 5 exotic missions including Derealize, and fun fact, at time of writing, Barrow Dyad from Episode Heresy is still
you can't get that gun.
Campaigns and other offensives.
How long has it been since you can not obtain that gun? People cannot get Barrow Dyad right now. Has that ever happened in the game?
like Dares of Eternity. The aforementioned missing content cannot increase your power level as a result and is basically entirely irrelevant, and playing it has absolutely no benefit to the reward chase. The armor that drops isn't tiered and uses the old Armor 2.0 system, which is bad. The weapons aren't tiered either, though admittedly they do still retain their value because obviously some guns are still pretty good and enhanceable. Think Velocity Baton or Hezen Vengeance, for example, though this is still not ideal. Basically, the first half of the problem boils down to the fact that outside of the portal's limited selection of activities, nothing else in the game matters with regards to increasing your character's level, improving your arsenal, and so on. It's like the portal and the world tab / director are two entirely separate games, because they literally are. Everything you could do,
it is two separate games,
out, including grinding weapons and armor, can still be done. You can still get Armor 2.0 if you really want to. You can still get all the old weapons that can be enhanced and so on, which is fine to a degree, but it ultimately leads to confusion. The second half is to do with how activities in the portal are launched, the ever so tedious modifier selection screen. I'm of the stance that while yes, giving players more agency and freedom to tailor an activity to their specific playstyle and expectations is a good idea in principle, in practice it just straight up doesn't work. It is so tedious to decide which modifiers to use, which ones increase my score, trying to make sure I don't make the activity too hard, while also making sure my projected score stays within the range I want.
Also, you can't matchmake when you customize.
Correctly predict what you're actually going to get anyway. It just creates so much unnecessary thinking when I wish I could just pick an activity, choose between a selection of difficulties like Master, Grandmaster, or Ultimate that I know will guarantee me good rewards, then off I go. Minimal clicks, minimal friction. The previous Grandmaster Nightfalls were an excellent example of this, and people loved it. Just one glance at the GM report leaderboards will show you that hundreds of players held this activity so incredibly dear and made it their main way of interacting with the game, which is
can't believe people do that many GMs.
So altogether, the current portal creates a disjointed experience that separates the content that arguably made the game special in the first place from offering any meaningful progression, while also ruining some of the charm the game previously had. Me personally, I don't like being greeted by the portal when I log on. I'd much prefer being greeted with the director just like before. So, how do we begin to fix these problems? Well, first of all, it's important to understand what the philosophy of the portal is, and what exactly it's trying to achieve. So, let's begin with part 1, the philosophy of the portal. My belief is that, at least partially, Bungie envisioned the portal to be a place like the Helm or the Last City that could serve as the main seasonal / weekly hub without having to be an actual physical location that players could visit, and more generally, a nice place to organize current and previous seasonal content that also allows efficient funneling of player populations to what's currently relevant and worth playing. The advantage of the portal, however, is that because it's a menu and not a physical location, year over year, the activities that come along seasonally don't have to be retired and can instead live within the portal forever. Just think how many times the Helm got refreshed.
That's what I do like about the portal, is that it does tell you what to do. It says, hey, this is the new stuff, or old stuff that you're doing, but this is what you should be doing to level the game. But also, on the other end, it doesn't show people everything that's missing in the portal, all the raids that are missing, all the dungeons that are missing, and everything else.
With new rooms to the left, right, and back year on year with each coming season. And now imagine how much simpler that would be to organize with a menu rather than a physical location. So, my overarching proposition for what the portal should be is this. Rather than the game being playable only through the portal should exclusively serve as an organization hub for seasonal and weekly content, where said content can still be manually accessed from the director, just made easier via the portal. I truly believe that the portal can work really well if it's treated solely as an particularly relevant activities, not as the only avenue to play the game and progress. As a result, the portal and the rest of the game will still remain as separate systems. However, the portal deals only with organization whose sole purpose is guiding players to what is currently worth playing in that particular week or season. This also means that outside of the portal, you can now play the game and earn power / progress your character through activities that aren't within it. And to communicate this better, we're now moving into part 2 of the rework presentation. Currently, I personally feel the portal UI isn't exactly flattering and could do with some much needed polish. It feels very separate from the beautiful director UI that has greeted us for so many years, and I believe that in order for me to communicate this new vision most effectively, it's time to start flexing some graphics. So when
the portal came out and they dimmed this screen, I mean, dude, the community was so mad because you were looking at this for 10 years and they just took the color out of it and pretty much said, hey, come do our portal. Thank you. Come to our portal and try this new portal out. You know, that's where the bad execution was for the portal. But I do think the portal's still good for the game. It's just that it could be both.
Start at the top with priority number 1, portal access. In my opinion, the director should always be the home screen of the game, and in this vision, it is. But there's just a giant button for the portal right in the middle, as well as Kepler, which really should have been there from the start. So step 1 of the overall presentation, make the director the default, then have the portal still being obviously there. As you can see here,
well, the thing is with this screen right here, they're running out of room, because I mean, I can pull down my cam here just to show you guys. They're literally running out of room, and I think that's what they were afraid of. They're just like, we're just going to keep adding to this and keep running out of room. So it's like Warframe, I don't know, it's really hard to put all that stuff in one screen, you know.
Fits right in, and there's ample space for other well-known locations like the Dreadnought and even the Reef, as seen in this new vision. Next up, I want to discuss redistributing exactly what's in the portal. As a result of me wanting the portal to be more of a weekly/seasonal hub, there's plenty of activities that are in it that simply don't need to be in there anymore. And because I want a renewed or return focus to the director, any activity that can appear in the portal will have their nodes moved to their corresponding destinations. For example, consider hovering over the Europa map, panning left, and seeing Solo Ops Creation just chilling there. Or same goes for Savathûn Spire on the Throne World next to the Sanctum, Caldera for Kepler right in the middle, and so on. A refreshed director always brings more life into the game, and it would be awesome to see the Dreadnought hanging near Saturn's orbit, allowing you to select things like the Nether, Court of Blades, or the Sunless Cell from within its director menu. The Cosmodrome could also be extended to accommodate the Plague Lands, including all 3 Reclaim variants and the Heliostat exotic mission, and a node for the Reef can be added to accommodate things like Contest of Elders, Kel's Vengeance, or Warden of Nothing. It just adds so much more life and vibrance to the game if the director is continually updated. Here's a full shot of what it could look like, and at least in my opinion, Kepler fits right in, and so too do the Dreadnought and the Reef. So now that we've kitted out the director, it's time to dive inside the portal and find out what's changed in my new and improved vision. My idea is simple. The new portal screen features 4 activity categories and 4 singular activity nodes, all on the same page.
Putting Gambit in there is funny.
Seasonal, Fireteam, Pinnacle,
Gambit's behind my camera.
Categories, then a daily rotating solo op, which could be K1 Logistics, Caldera, or new ones, a weekly Grandmaster Nightfall node, identical to the previous weekly GM Nightfall consisting of exclusively strikes and battlegrounds, a weekly featured Crucible mode, which could be Mayhem, Countdown, etc., then lastly a node for Gambit. This new screen would feature detailed explanations on exactly what each category and focus node entails. Feel free to pause and have a read if you'd like, as well as a new boon selector which will allow you to
what did that say?
Focus node entails.
I still don't understand why they took out Grandmaster Nightfalls or even the Nightfalls. It's like they wanted us to go do these conquests, but like, dude, no one's replaying them. You're only doing one conquest and moving on. You're not farming them unless you're like helping people.
Feel free to pause and have a read if you'd like, as well as a new boon selector which will allow you to activate positive modifiers for all featured activities, but more details on this later. I'll leave the full illustration on screen.
Oh, was that setting a goal? Okay, so I talk about this all the time. Telling players to grind to a certain level, like 470, we all know if you get to 470, you get spoiled with tier 5. Stuff like that should be in people's menus or pop up like this to let people know, like, hey, you will get rewarded for going farther. Because people's problems right now is, why do I want to go past 470, Clyde? Why do I want to go to 550? If they put little stuff like this in the game to reward you for going that high, like, hey, if you hit 470, it allows you to permanently choose the selection of 3 modifiers in each of your playlists, but also you get tier 5 loot all the time. And then there could be another thing like this that pops up that says, once you get to 510, 520, hey, you unlock armor focusing, gun focusing, you can focus tiered loot, something like that.
Modifiers for all featured
That's
activities, but more details on this later. I'll leave the full illustration on screen a little longer for you to fully take it in, but now let's discuss exactly what each node and category entails, starting with Seasonal Ops. Seasonal Ops is a new category that always contains every non-raid and dungeon activity from the newest expansion/current season, and in our case, this would include the Civ, Caldera, all Reclaim variants, and the Heliostat exotic mission that drop a mixture of bonus loot and a daily bonus focus. And in my mind, this category would refresh its offerings every 6 months alongside each new season, and the major update within said season would add its own activities to the mix. This graphic shows a mixture of Reclamation Act 1 activities, including the Civ and Caldera, as well as from Act 2.
The one thing I don't like is the focus loot, by the way. I don't like that if you want a helmet, you have to go do Caldera. This is what I was talking about focus loot. I think once you hit a certain power level, you should be able to, or you have to do a certain quest, or you got to do multiple quests or level up a vendor. You should be able to get whatever gear you want. Like if you really want Smoke Jumper, but you like doing Pinnacle Ops with your friends, because you got to remember, Smoke Jumper doesn't drop in Pinnacle Ops or it doesn't drop in Crucible. You should be able to tier and choose what you want, because the focus loot on these activities, I don't know about you guys, but it could be the class item. Let's just say you're doing Caldera for a class item. To get that perfect class item, you might not even get it that day.
Ash and Iron, like all 3 reclaims and Heliostat. This category would also allow the user to toggle between Act 1, Act 2, or all activities within it as a way of having a clean and manageable UI experience. Fireteam Ops returns in its current
Whoever made
form
these
and
graphs,
consists of
though,
a list
those guys
of
are good.
3 Fireteam Ops that can be farmed for bonus drops and a daily bonus focus. Though the key difference to the current iteration of Fireteam Ops we have is that my version now includes 6-player Fireteam activities like Dares of Eternity, the Menagerie, or even Escalation Protocol as seen in this graphic here. Hopes and prayers for those last 2, and also event-limited activities like Haunted Altars. And the
Another good point here. With the mention of Escalation Protocol and Menagerie, do you guys think that it's okay for Bungie to use stuff like that in the portal to encourage player count or returning players to come back? Me personally, I don't think using old content that we've played in the past that's currently not in the game, they just bring back and go, hey guys, we're bringing it back and we're putting it in the portal. To me, I don't feel like the community wants to do old content. We would rather be doing new content, new, like a Menagerie 2.0, like a totally different system, you know, something newer, because we've never seen it before. Because you guys might think we'd want this old stuff in the portal and all this old stuff in the game, but dude, trust me, when you're playing it, people just rag on the game. And I watch the community say over and over in the comments, they're like, you're playing 6-year-old content, same old game. You know, I think it should just be in the game available for you to play if you want, but it shouldn't be like, hey, we're focusing on old content. Bungie's idea is saying, hey, we're listening and we're going to bring back Escalation Protocol. To me, they should word it like, hey, we heard you want some stuff in the portal to mix it up. We're going to bring back an old fan favorite, Escalation Protocol, but we're also working on Redacted, which is a new 6-player activity. I know it sounds like greed, but it's really hard to get excited for old stuff. But stuff like this does need to be in the portal, and I totally agree with everything here being said.
Selection of activities refreshes daily. Pinnacle Ops are again similar to what we have currently, offering a selection of 3 activities from the likes of exotic missions, onslaughts, and crawls like the Coil or Contest of Elders, featuring bonus drops and a daily bonus focus that also refresh daily.
I'm sorry, does that say 8 completion rewards for the Coil? Now we're cooking.
Including the likes of Dual Destiny, and also my version excludes the presence of dungeon layers. In fact, I'm opting to completely remove dungeon layers from the game, as I don't think they've landed particularly well, and also because of the 4th and final category.
I'm gonna go back real quick.
Dungeon layers from my version.
Dual Destiny should be in the portal. I don't understand, like this has been out for a long time. For some of you that don't know, when Dual Destiny came out, there was a way for us to grab 2 class items every run. So we were all farming it. Everybody was doing it. Everybody was juicing it. I mean, I had chat joining for every run. We were having a blast doing this. And they took it away because they said it wasn't intended. So they took it down to 1 completion reward instead of 2 because it was bugged. That's when they killed the farm. No one cared. And then when Festival of the Lost came around, you could farm all your class items that you wanted and you were done. But now, a year later, Bungie kind of like gave you ways to get these class items through Xur. And right now you can get them through Festival of the Lost. But if you don't run Dual Destiny, most of you don't know this, if you run Dual Destiny 1 time just to have it unlocked, you can go get 2 class items from Grandma right now with Festival of the Lost. Plus, you get the tiered focusing at the Pale Heart. So you can choose, hey, I want my class items to drop with Immos Light because I'm trying to get Immos Light Syntho. Most people right now just ignore that and they just go, well, I don't have Dual Destiny unlocked. I'm just going to go buy from Xur and I'm going to buy from Candy from Grandma, and that's how I got my class item. They're completely skipping this mission because they don't like that you need 2 people to play it. I'm surprised it never got put in the the portal or match made turned on. And then the thing with these
my version excludes the presence
these
of
things are
dungeon
terrible.
layers. In
These
fact, I'm
dungeons
opting to
take these things
completely
out.
remove dungeon layers from the game, as I don't think they've landed particularly well, and also because of the fourth and final category, endgame ops. Endgame ops will feature a list of several raid and dungeon activities that can be farmed for bonus drops, including full clears, boss rushes, and pantheons, where this time the selection refreshes weekly rather than
Pantheons.
daily, in an effort to bring back the weekly rotating raids and dungeons that we previously had. We've also gone ahead and created a little tooltip that describes what exactly you may find inside this category.
Yeah, they would never do this. They would never do this.
Again, pause if you want to have a read, and examples include a full run
They
of
would
Sunday
never.
Doctrine, Epic Ghosts of the Deep, a Root of Nightmares boss rush where you skip encounters 1 and 2 and just focus on the bosses, or a full Rulk Indomitable Pantheon where each of these activities come with various bonus rewards, bonus focuses, and deeply rich customization options. Going a little off track for a second, these additions aren't necessarily to do with the portal, but I still wanted to highlight them because, again, Court has made some fantastic graphics for them. You'll notice that the full run activities have a settings wheel within them, which in our vision would lead to a sub-menu that allows you to, number 1, select your checkpoint, where in this example we have Salvation's Edge starting from the second checkpoint, Herald of Finality, including
I'm going to take my camera down for a second. You could choose
loot table information on the right-hand side, as well as another menu to configure your feat selection, presenting information about reward quality and more. Again, pause if you need to. Like
I don't like the feat system.
I said, these systems aren't exactly Portal specific, but still worth highlighting because A, we kinda need them, and B, the graphics are awesome. Alright then, now let's discuss the 4 activity nodes that sit alongside the activity categories, starting with the daily rotating solo op. This node will feature a single solo op that offers bonus rewards and a bonus focus that rotates daily. It's pretty simple, but that's all it should be. Still the same quick 10-minute commitment that Bungie described.
There's just way too many menus, and with these portal activities and trying to make them better and putting more stuff in the portal, you're just adding more menu gameplay. So that's where we got to be careful as well too.
As a way to jump in, get some progression done, then get out. Following that, we then have the classic weekly Nightfall, a single Vanguard op, either a strike or a battleground that offers Ascendant Shards, Prisms, and Exotics, as well as a pinnacle weapon focus that can be farmed indefinitely. This activity refreshes weekly, just like the previous GM Nightfalls, and to keep things challenging, the tuning for this activity would be slightly more strict than that of regular ultimate activities we have now, since they're kind of a pushover, but feel free to disagree with me down in the comments below. Destiny 2 desperately needs a weekly chase like GM Nightfall's back, and while I do admit that a lot of what I say here today will likely never get implemented, I still want to stress that as a bare minimum, a weekly chase equivalent to GM's that features a focus drop, plentiful resources, and is a decent challenge must make its way back into the game somehow. Moving on, the weekly Crucible playlist node will feature a singular Crucible mode, like Mayhem, that offers bonus drops and a daily bonus focus, which rotates weekly. Finally, the Gambit node will simply allow access to Gambit from within the portal, which can also be done via the Director that also features a daily bonus focus. And yeah, it goes without saying that Gambit now offers tiered gear and power level. We feature Gambit weeks, where for 1 week only, every so often, the Gambit node offers many more bonus drops and increased resources, just as an idea. Same could apply to both the Crucible and GM.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks about like weekly stuff is that before Edge of Fate launched, people would just be like, hey, if the week of the Nightfalls were boring and there was no loot, people wouldn't do it. You could put the worst GM Nightfall in the game every week, but people wouldn't do it because the first thing they asked was, they weren't asking what Nightfall it was, they were asking what's the loot this week in the Nightfall. So if the loot wasn't worth it, people didn't do the GM. So if you bring back like weekly focused activities, the loot needs to be desirable.
Nodes 2, kind of like the old double loot, double reputation weeks. I want to be very clear though, all of these activities that rotate in are always accessible, regardless of whether they're featured in the portal or not. You can simply find them on their respective planets or sections within the Director. It's just that when they are featured, they're more worth doing because of that. And side note, if an activity is featured, it will also indicate this on the Director with a clearly defined icon or multiple of them above the relevant destination. For example, this blue icon indicates that a featured activity is present within Savathun's throne world. And upon further investigation, we can see that the birthplace of the Vile Strike is currently active within the portal and as such will drop improved rewards. More on this very shortly in the reward section, but that's the general idea. The portal streamlines the experience experience of finding what's relevant on any given day, but even without interacting with the portal, you can still find what's relevant via the director, and it's glaringly obvious at that. Speaking of featured activities, let's discuss how I'm changing the distribution of rewards in this new version of the portal to make it so
Yeah,
it's
this is what we need,
interacting
rewards.
with and checking what's available. In my version, rewards for activities will behave much like they do now. Any activity that can rotate into the portal, even if it isn't featured on a given day, still drops 2 or 3 powerful rewards upon completion that can simply be accessed from within its destination or location on the director. But for when it is featured, the activity now offers more completion rewards than it normally does, depending on the activity and category/rotator. For example, the daily solo op will always drop 2 rewards rather than 1 like its worldly counterparts when it is featured. Then for seasonal activities, think Reclaim and Heliostat, currently they both drop 3 and 2 rewards respectively, but in my system they would drop 4 and 3, incentivizing you to try the new stuff and also be rewarded for it, for as long as they remain in the seasonal category. So basically, the seasonal ops tab is generally more rewarding.
I'm sorry, but seeing that Achilles SMG in the portal, that would trigger me. We don't want that piece of shit.
For the duration of a major update/season when compared to similar activities outside of it. Again, to incentivize playing the new stuff. The same goes for Pinnacle Ops. They would typically have 1 or 2 more completion rewards attached to them if present within the portal on that day, though this also introduces the possibility with things like the Coil, where you could really juice it and give it like 8 completion rewards.
That's the only way people would do it, is if it had that many.
Really push people to play it. Furthermore, outside of the portal, all raids and dungeons can be completed once per week for an offering of +3 gear for each encounter completion, including an additional full clear bonus chest and bonus focus. However, the key distinction is that the selection of rad content within the endgame ops category and the newest raid or dungeon can be farmed indefinitely rather than just once. Also for +3s, including the bonus focuses, weekly tier upgrade challenges, and so on. Here's some more examples like Last Wish with
You should get +3s in all the raids without doing any feats.
indicators that make it abundantly clear it's farmable and currently featured. Same goes for Vow of the Disciple, including a bonus focus for submission, or Warlord's Ruin, with a bonus focus for the Goat Indebted Kindness. The power grind can also be extended to literally anything. I personally think it could be awesome to have things like complete 10 patrols on the Cosmodrome and receive a powerful drop for every 2 that you do, complete Pale Heart overthrows for powerfuls, dual Destiny class items drop as powerful, and many more such cases. The ultimate goal is that you can play your way, but the portal still
Play your way. We heard that before.
offers a more efficient
We heard that.
seasonal path. Another important factor that will 100% reinvigorate the reward chase is adding activity-exclusive rewards. Think strike-specific loot, but more so in the form of curated roles like back in the day, for each activity that rotates into the portal. But the catch is, you can't earn this special drop unless the activity is featured. Imagine that Caldera offered a special version of Giver's Blessing with a really low drop chance that came with attrition orbs in the left column and a second selectable origin trait. Something like
Now we're talking.
nanotech tracer missiles.
A loot
you
chase.
can only get from this activity only when it's featured. Any other version of the gun obtained elsewhere won't have this special role ever, which I personally think is a pretty good idea. Now,
Yep.
I know that yes, there are a lot of activities.
You guys remember like when you would, like me, the days where I like would hawk Destiny 1, I would wait and see if it was lost to light. As soon as it was lost to light, I knew that if I went and took people through to get their whisper, they were going to be hyped. And I was trying to get the ship on my account. It took me like 100 runs just to get my ship, but you used to get hype for certain days just because the daily mission was hype.
Honestly makes it better and more rare, just something extra to keep an eye out for every once in a while. Veteran players will remember that Gnawing Hunger had a special variant that came with
Oh,
Overflow
boy.
in the left column that only
Reckoning.
dropped from tier 3
Oh,
Reckoning.
man, I know
The
this
likeness
activity.
of Oryx was the weekly
95
boss. I can
hours.
tell you from personal experience that the drop rate was so very low. I farmed for hours and hours, and when I did eventually get it, it was a very good feeling. In fact, I still have it sitting in my vault to this very day. The one type of activity that I do want to have exclusive drops for each one are conquests, which I do think are pretty good. A tailored experience with challenging deltas and modifiers is fun, at least to me, so to make them extra worth it, tie a unique drop to each of them and make it a low chance from farms, but make it worth the grind, especially if it involves farming something like the recent Avalon
Valuing players' time.
on Conquest. Bonus points if you can remember the name of this gun. Drop it in the comments if you do. That's basically all I would do.
Wait, what was that gun? Oh, dude, that's the Vex gun. It's I I'm terrible with names, but that gun starts with a P. What's that gun name? Paul Perfect? Was that gun even good? I don't remember it.
Especially if it involves farming something like the recent Avalon Conquest. Bonus points if you can remember the
Prostate
name of this gun.
popper.
Drop it in the comments if you do. That's basically all I would do when it comes to rewards and reward allocation, plus giving reasons to interact with portal activities that rotate in and out. And I'll reiterate the main point, you should still have the ability to play essentially anything you want and gain power from it. Most importantly, raids and dungeons. And you can still launch any activity that isn't featured in the portal on any given day and still get power and tiered gear from it. However, if you decide to play the featured activities instead, you'll receive a greater quantity of rewards as well as a low chance at a super special drop that can only be farmed when the given activity is featured. The last part of my rework concerns a selection of key quality of life improvements that I believe would make the experience of interacting with the portal a whole lot smoother, with the first major change being the removal of the ability to choose your own modifiers. A little bit dramatic, I know, but stick with me here. While yes, it does sound nice in theory to be able to tailor the activities to your preferences, it ultimately leads to choosing the same 4 or 5 modifiers for every single activity that secures the path of least resistance when it comes to ensuring score and reward quality, which all
I said this before Edge of Fate launched. I swear to God, you could find it in a clip, a video somewhere. Said, chat, when Edge of Fate launches and the portal comes, we're going to do the same activity with the same modifiers.
also adds yet another step in between choosing said activity and actually launching it, which is especially demoralizing on update days with new content where you want to just jump straight in and get some gear, but your excitement is immediately halted because you need to rack your brain about which modifiers to use and so on, and as such, the feature needs to go. My system takes us back to pre-selected modifiers that, for the sake of variety, rotate on a weekly or daily basis depending on the activity or node, and while we're at it, let's remove the scoring system too, and instead tie the quality of the rewards we get to the actual difficulty of the activity itself. Activity difficulty selection should be simple to understand and simple to apply, and I just know that I would much prefer having it so higher difficulties, like Ultimate, always drop tier 5s, and easier difficulties, like Expert or Master, always drop lower tiered gear, though still have a small chance to improve the tier.
I said that too.
Tier 5. I'm still a believer that each difficulty should
Someone that's leveling up in the game should have a chance to get a tier 5 piece, so they get excited. They're like, oh dude, I'm power level 320, but I just got a tier 5 juicer. Oh man, I'm gonna go grind for this 470 so I can keep getting them.
be locked behind power progression though.
True.
So higher tier gear remains being tied to power in a way, but more so to
It's crazy, we're all
unlock the
saying the
method of
same
getting
thing.
them. Speaking of power, in an effort to retain some level of activity customization and reward players who climb to higher power levels, I want to propose a solution that achieves both the goal of increased player agency and reduced friction when launching a given activity. Enter the Boon Selector. The Boon Selector is a new submenu within the portal that unlocks once you hit power level 470, aka around the point you're comfortably into your ultimate difficulty activities, that now allows you to permanently choose a selection of 3 positive modifiers that will always be applied to any portal activity you play, disregarding Crucible. Furthermore, because we remove the scoring system, these positive modifiers don't negatively affect your rewards in any shape or form, and simply allow you to gain combat advantages or have some more fun in whatever activity you play, including raids and
can't say the
dungeons,
word
by the
fun.
way. For example, your loadout could consist of something like Solar Surge, Grappler, and Brawler to fully enhance a Solar Titan Bonk Hammer build to the absolute extreme, and other more recent modifiers like the Plasma Accelerant from Reclaim that grants permanent amplified Radiant, or the Ionic Recharger that makes your bolt charge detonations super juiced and create a landfall explosion could also be moved into this menu, alongside event modifiers too, like for Solstice or Festival of the Lost. I think this would be an awesome way of rewarding players who climb to higher power levels, and again, it's only applicable to activities featured in the portal. Lastly, matchmaking. Make matchmaking available for all activities except dungeons and raids. There's no excuse for any other activity, regardless of difficulty, to not have matchmaking. It's not that deep.
I think that they should try and do matchmaking raids and dungeons. I know it's not good and it'll probably provide toxicity, but at least it's there. They could just test the waters and do like a test weekend. They could do like a server slam, you know. They could just be like, hey, for this weekend, all stuff's match made, and they could just try out the feedback. I know it's toxic, but at least try it. I feel bad for people that don't have people to play with to do endgame, and they don't want to use third-party websites to LFG.
And again, removes another barrier to entry. It's quality of life things like this that I truly think would make the portal an unstoppable, world-class support system that I'm certain was what Bungie always intended.
Or they could just do it to where the explore mode, like we thought the explore mode that they did on the Right of the Nine dungeons would have been on Desert Perpetual, an explore mode that's matchmake to teach players mechanics. Then if they want to go do normal mode and epic mode, they can't matchmake. But it's a great way to teach people mechanics. Raid will be very bad because a lot of people not being on mics. Well, I mean, the LFG doesn't use mics either. They're burgers.
It's just unfortunate that they've had so many stumbles along the way, but that's what they've got us for. I believe nothing can stop a passionate enough community, and I hope that what you've seen in today's video proves that. To conclude, let's do a quick recap of the important topics. The portal should become a system that focuses on weekly, daily, and seasonal bonus activities where everything else in the game can still offer power as well, especially raids and dungeons. However, the portal itself features exclusive and more plentiful rewards, as well as custom experiences like boss rushes and pantheons, and a unique positive modifier selection system that serves only to round out builds and enhance the fun factor, instead of causing unnecessary headaches and time wasting. The rest of the game outside of the portal can still be grinded for power and progression, as well as offering tiered gear, relevant resources, and matchmaking. There's still a clear highlight on newer content within
all this stuff is common knowledge stuff. The fact that it's not in the game is just insane to me.
And with that, we've come to the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed this one, as it's taken a huge amount of time and effort to produce. Again, massive shout out to Court for creating
that Court did some really good job
images and
with the images
of the video. And if any of you consider
LlamaD did good
further through super thanks or simply sharing with
LlamaD did good covering all the facts. I mean, this is what everybody's been saying.
Also, I'd love to hear your own thoughts on whether you agree or disagree with the points brought up here today, and about how you would personally improve the portal. Please make yourself heard down in the comments below. Finally, I want to stress that despite things being rough right now, I truly believe that Destiny can bounce back and flourish into something greater. Call it delusion, call it passion, call it whatever you want, but one thing's for certain: if we face the negatives with constructive and thoughtful criticism, I believe that we as a community can truly make a difference and guide the game to where we ultimately want it to be. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.
Really good stuff. I mean, this is literally stuff that I've been seeing everybody talk about for the past couple months, and it was all put into a very structured video. Really good job. If you guys are wondering, that is Llama. I'm gonna hit the subscribe button. That was really good. Give it a good old thumbs up. Yeah, I mean, he went over a lot of good stuff, to be honest. I mean, this is feedback that we've been saying since week 1. I mean, the portal came out and we knew exactly right away. We're just like, I mean, look what happened. What was it day 1 that people went to Encore? Was it literally, I think it was day 1. People were doing day 1 Encore, and they just went there and just speed ran their power level light. The people that didn't get to take advantage of that grind fell behind, and then they finished the campaign, and then they went to Encore when it came back, and it was just the same problem, you know? And everyone was asking, like, where's the rest of the game? How come there's only so much in the portal? Why can't I do old activities? You know, hey, I'm a returning player and I want to do this old stuff because I'm trying to catch up and I'm not being rewarded. All the issues were pointed out right away, and hopefully with some of that stuff is being fixed in Renegades. You know, I mean, they're working on it slowly now. The portal is a little better for leveling. It's not there yet. I would say it's about 65%, you know, 70. You know, the bonus drops are good. The power climb is a lot easier for people that know what they're doing. The ideas are just sitting right in front of them.